Hey everyone, my name is Olaf and today I'm going to show you how to make this gun turret animation in Blender. I'm going to show you how to model it, I'm going to show you how to add materials, and how to animate it at the end. It's going to be fairly quick and easy, so let's get started. Okay, so you want to start off by switching to Cycles Render for better shading, and then you want to click X to delete the default cube, and then you want to go into the settings and make sure to add another window, because I'm going to add the reference image in this window. Okay, so you want to go into Google and search Gun Turret Battle Island and then download one of the images. Either this one with 4 different ones in one image or the large one, which I'm going to download as reference. So just download the image on somewhere on your computer. I already have it downloaded and I'm going to open it in the UV image editor. So just open the image, find the file on your computer, and there it is, open image. And now we have a basic reference image. We're not going to follow it like completely, but it's nice to have some reference when we make the gun turret. Okay, so we're going to click Shift A to add a new object, and we're going to start off by adding a cylinder. It's going to be the base or the lower part of the gun turret. And we're going to click S set to scale it on the Z axis. Then we're going to click S and then Shift set to only scale it on the X and the Y axis. And then we need to go into edit mode. There are 2 things we need to do. We need to first hold in Shift and Alt to select the lower and the upper part of the cylinder, and then increase the mean increase value to 1. And now I'm going to select the top part and click Ctrl B to add bevel, and that way we're going to smooth out the top surface or the top face of this cylinder and give it kind of the slope design that we can see in the reference image. So just use the middle mouse wheel to, I think we need to go back, so click Control Set to go back and start over. And I'm going to click Control B again and add the bevels and try not to make them overlap each other like I did earlier. Okay, I think this is nice, so left click to confirm. And now I'm going to face select the lower part and I'm going to grab it a little bit on the Z axis. So click G set to grab it on the Z axis. Then select the top face, click E to extrude, like this, and left click to confirm. Okay, now I'm going to go back to object mode and I'm going to add a subdivision surface modifier, which is going to make the surface smoother and subdivide it basically. And because we already have the mean increase, when we add the subdivision surface, it's not going to mess up the model, and we will get subdivisions on the parts where we want to have subdivisions, which is great. So left click on the top of the model for the object to add a 3D cursor, and then we're going to add a cube. So click Shift A to add a new object and add a cube. This is going to be the main turret, so I'm going to click S then set to scale it on the Z axis. Left click to confirm. Okay, so now I'm going to go down to edit mode to edit the object. So go from object mode to edit mode, and then I'm going to go to edge select and select the front edge, and then click G then Y to grab the edge on the Y axis. Left click to confirm, go back to face select, select the top face and grab it on the Z axis. So click G set to grab it on the Z axis. And I'm going to scale it up a little bit, so click S to scale. Since I'm not giving you the exact dimensions, you're obviously not going to get exactly the same model as me, but I still think you can get a very nice model by just following these steps. So click S and X to scale it on the X axis. Left click to confirm, and then click S set to scale it on the Z axis. Left click to confirm, and then go back to edit mode, and I'm going to click edge select and try to grab the front edge a little bit forward. So click G then Y to grab it on the Y axis. Okay, let's go to face select the back part of it, click GY to grab the face on the y-axis and grab it forward. And then you want to extrude it, so click E to extrude. Left click to confirm. And then click S, then X to scale it on the x-axis. Like this. And now you can see it's starting to look a little bit like a turret, but we still have a lot of steps left. So the next thing I'm going to do is to start adding something called loop cuts, which is basically adding more edges to the object so that we can edit it even more. And the way to do that is to click Ctrl R to add loop cuts. And then you use the mouse wheel to add more loop cuts. And when you have 6 loop cuts like this, you're going to left click to confirm. And then I'm going to select 8 faces. To select multiple faces at the same time, you need to hold in Shift while you select, right click to select, and the next step is to extrude out these faces. So I'm going to click E to extrude, and extrude them a little bit upwards, like this. Left click to confirm, and then I'm going to grab them on the y-axis, so click GY to grab them on the y-axis. G-set to grab them on the z-axis, and I'm going to go down to edge select and drag these faces down. As you can see, it doesn't really look good, so I need to go back, Control Set to go back, and then go to edge select. Again, holding Shift while you select them to select multiple edges at the same time. And then we're going to grab these edges on the z-axis. So we need to get to the side view to see how it looks, like this. And then just click G set to grab them on the z-axis. Okay, I think it looks good. So the next step is to start adding a few details to the back of the object. So click A to deselect everything, click Ctrl R to add loop cuts on the back of the turret. And then I'm going to select a few faces and just drag them upwards, just like you can see in the image. So first I'm going to select, let's say, 6 faces and just extrude them on the z-axis. But first I'm going to switch from face select to edge select, because I'm going to add a bevel to the faces. So click E to extrude, left click to confirm, and then click Ctrl B for the bevel, and then use the mouse wheel to add more edges. It's supposed to be pretty close to each other. Okay, so then you want to click Ctrl R to add loop cuts, and then add 2 of them. Left click to confirm, and then do the same on the other side. So click Ctrl R and add 2 loop cuts. And then I'm just going to add a very simple detail. So go to face select, and I'm going to click C to circle select. This detail is actually not that important for the final result, but I just wanted to add like the simple detail that you can see in the reference image with the kind of like the handle for getting into the turrets. So I'm just going to circle select and click in the middle mouse button to deselect, and then hold in the left mouse button to select. Okay, so let's circle select on the other side as well, and left click to confirm, or right click to confirm actually in this. And then I'm just going to extrude, so click E to extrude, left click to confirm, and then you want to click Ctrl B and add a few edges, and left click to confirm. This is going to make the edges look smoother, which looks better in the final result. Okay, so next up I'm going to add bevels, which is going to make all the edges look a lot better and smoother. which makes it look kind of more realistic. It's not a point to have a realistic turret here, but it's just going to make it look better. So one way to do it is to hold in shift and just select all the edges so that we can bevel them, if you will. But I think I'm just going to deselect everything and select everything again, and then click Control B. But we have to be really careful and make sure that the value is really low, because it's not going to be very smooth. It's just going to be like barely, so you can barely see it, like this, and then add like 3 or 4 segments with the middle mouse wheel. And as you can see, it looks a lot smoother now, and it kind of looks better than just having like sharp edges, which doesn't look very good at all. Okay, so now that we're done with the main body, I'm going to start adding the barrels to the gun turret, which is the kind of the fun part, because we're also going to animate it. So go back to object mode, and then you want to go to the front view. So click numpad 1 to go to the front view, and then left click where you want the barrel to be. And this is also the 3D cursor. I'm going to create and add a cylinder. And then I'm going to rotate it on the x-axis, so click R, X, then 90 to rotate it 90 degrees on the x-axis. I'm going to scale it down with S. Left click to confirm. And let's go to numpad 1 to go to the front view and see how it looks. I think right now it looks good, so we can start going into the edit mode. So click a tab to go into edit mode. And then I'm going to select all the edges of the cylinder. So hold in Alt while you select the edges, and hold in Shift as well to select the other like circle of edges. And then we're going to increase the mean increase value to 1, which, as you remember, when we subdivide the object, it's going to be completely smooth, like only there. If we didn't add the mean increase, it would become just a sphere or something. Basically, the whole body would be subdivided, which wouldn't look very good. So I'm going to click E to extrude, and then I'm going to scale it down with S. Left click to confirm. And then I'm going to extrude it again. This time it's going to be a smaller circle. So E to extrude, like this. And then I'm going to extrude it again. So let's go to the side view, numpad 3 to go to the side view, and click E, left click, and then click S to scale it up. Left click to confirm, click E again to extrude. Left click to confirm, and then you want to click E again. Click E, click S to scale it down. Left click and then click E again. I think we might want to make it a little bit smaller. So scale it down more and click E and extrude it inwards so that we actually have a barrel. Okay, so right now I think it looks really good, but I think it might be a little bit too short, but you can always change the dimensions of the object as you want to. It doesn't really matter that much for the final result. So you don't have to do exactly as I do, but you should follow like the main path of this tutorial. So let's go to numpad 7 to go to the top view. And then you want to go to edit mode by pressing tab, set to go into wireframe. And then you want to click G, then Y to grab it on the y-axis, which is going to make the barrel longer. Let's click Shift D to duplicate. And then grab it on the x-axis. And as you can see now, we have 2 barrels for the gun turret. It's starting to look good, so let's go back to solid mode. And let's just make sure these barrels are aligned correctly, so that they're not like too far to the right or to the left. So I'm going to click G, then X to grab them on the x-axis, and just make sure they're in the middle of each box, if that makes sense. The next thing I'm going to do is to select the sun and start adding some light to the scene. So let's click right click on the lamp and make it into a sun. Make the size to 1 and then click use nodes and make the strength to 4. Okay, and the next thing I'm going to do is to click G to grab it and click R to rotate it, and just rotate it a little bit above the gun turret. Click R, then Z to rotate it on the Z axis, and just tweak the sun around until you have the lighting you want. Okay, so let's go to the bottom of the gun turret and left click to add a 3D cursor. Click Shift A to add a new object and click S to scale it up. This is going to be the floor of the scene. And I'm going to adjust the gun turret a little bit, so I'm going to select it. It kind of looks too far up right now. So holding Shift while you select the 2 barrels and the gun turret and click G set to grab it on the Z axis. Okay, and the next step is to click S to scale it up. And right now I think it looks a little bit better. Try to grab it on the Z axis again and just find the design you want to have for your gun turret. Shift Z to go into rendered mode. And now we're going to start adding materials. So let's go into materials, add a new material. And we're going to start off by adding material for the floor. So make it into a glossy material. And then make the roughness to 0.1. And then make the color of the floor kind of dark. So something like this. You can always change it to another color. So let's select the turret itself. Add a new material. And we're also going to make this one glossy. So select glossy material and then scroll down a bit, make the roughness to 0.2 and make the color to whatever you want, but I'm going to write in kind of a gold color code. So write in FFDE 91 in the hex value, and then just repeat or copy the same material to the other parts of the gun turrets. Select this one, add material, and the last one. Okay, so now we have a really cool looking gold material on the gun turret. And the next thing I'm going to do is to select the floor, and I'm going to add some walls. And the way to do this is to go into edit mode, go to face select, and then click E to extrude. And then I'm going to delete the top face by clicking X to delete. And as you can see now, we have a basic wall. Click numpad 0 to go into the camera, click Shift F to go into the flycam mode, and move around with W, A, S, and D. And when you have the view you want, just left click to confirm. And as you can see now, it looks really good. And if you go into Shift Set or rendered mode, you will see how it looks when it's rendered or done rendering. And it looks nice, but I think we need to adjust a few things before we can start animating it and render the animation out. So I think I need to move the barrels of this gun turret because they're not completely correctly aligned to the rest of the turret body. So I'm going to grab them. I need to go to the top view, so click numpad 0 to go to the top view, and then just grab it a little bit on the x-axis, and grab the other one and make sure it's in the middle, like this. Back to rendered mode. But I'm still not completely happy with the design, so I'm going to adjust it a little bit. Select the turret body and the barrels, click G set to grab it on the Z axis. Okay, now it's time to add the platform below the turret, so select all the parts of the turret and click G set to grab it on the Z axis. And then we're going to add a 3D cursor, so left click below the turret, add a cube, and then just scale it on the X and Y axis. Scale it down on the Z axis, so click S set to scale it down on the Z axis. Click G set to grab it on the Z axis. And I think it's starting to look good, but we need to grab it on the X and Y axis, so click G, then Shift Z to only grab it on the X and the Y axis, like this. GZ to grab it on the Z axis, and I think it's starting to look good. Yeah, okay, we need to add a material. So go into rendered mode and start adding a material for the platform. I'm going to make it kind of dark, so something like this. I think this one looks good. I think the platform needs to be a little bit further down, so click GZ to grab it on the Z axis. Left click to confirm. Okay, now it looks good. Okay, so before I start the actual animation, I'm just going to tweak a few more things to try to make it look a little bit better. I'm going to adjust the camera a little bit and just adjust the sizes, but it's not really any major changes. Okay, so first of all, I want to move the platform a little bit downwards. So I'm going to select the whole turret, grab it downwards, move the camera a little bit backwards so that we can get the whole turret inside the camera view. And then I'm going to scale this part up a little bit. Okay, so let's start animating it. We're going to animate the barrel itself. So select the first barrel and make sure to move the reference image upwards because we don't really need it anymore. Okay, so let's go to shape keys. Click the plus sign 2 times, one for the start animation and one for the transformative object or what it's going to turn into. So we're going to edit key 1 and then click G Y to grab the turret barrel on the Y axis. So I'm going to click GY1 to grab it 1 unit backwards on the Y axis. Like this, and let's do the same thing to the other barrel. 1 basis and 1 key 1. And then click GY1 to grab the barrel 1 unit backwards on the Y axis. And as you see, if we decrease or increase the value, it's going to move. And we're going to animate this movement. But first, I'm going to start off with the rotation of the turret. So we need to set the barrel's parent to the rest of the turret. So hold in Shift while you select the barrels, select the other one, and then you select the main body of the turret. Then you click Control P to set it parent to the rest of the body, so set parent to objects, and then select the turret body itself, and then the lower part, Control P, and set parent to objects. And that way, when you select the turret, click RZ to rotate it on the Z axis, you can see that the barrels rotate as well. So before I'm going to start animating it, I'm just going to move the camera a little bit downwards so that the turret looks a little bit larger because of the perspective. And as you can see, the rotation works, so I'm going to start animating the rotation of the turrets. And the way you're going to do that is to click N to make the coordinates show up, and then click I, and I. Then move forward in time, and then you want to go forward in time again. And this time we're going to rotate the turret. So click RZ to rotate it on the Z axis. I'm going to rotate it a few degrees and then click I, and I. Next up, I'm going to animate the movement of the barrels. So go a few frames forward and then select the first barrel, click I on the value to keyframe the value, and then move a few frames forward. I'm going to move, let's say, 6 frames forward, and then I'm going to increase the value to 1 and then click I to keyframe. And I'm going to select the other barrel, go 2 frames back, and in frame 104 I'm going to keyframe, and then I'm going to go to 110 or frame 110 and increase the value to 1. Okay, and then we go back to the first barrel. We move a few frames forward. Let's say we move to frame 114, and then we decrease the value to 0, and then click I to keyframe. And then we do the same with this one. So let's say we go to frame 100 and yeah, let's make it 117. Decrease the value to 0, click I to keyframe, and if we go from the start now, you can see the animation. It starts off by rotating, and then we have a barrel shooting animation, which looks really cool. Okay, so now we have the basic animation. You can obviously animate it even more and make it more advanced, but we don't have time for that in this tutorial. So let's animate the camera a little bit. Let's go to frame 29 or something. Click I, and I. And then, oh, we actually have to... Okay, let's go back. We actually need to go forward in time before we can animate it, or give new keyframes. Click Shift F to go into flycam mode, and then just move the camera a little bit, and click I, and I. And now we have a camera animation as well. And again, you can make it even more advanced if you want to. I'm just making it as, I'm just trying to learn you as much as I can within the time. Okay, Shift Z to go into rendered mode. And I think it's time to start adjusting the settings for the final render and the animation as well. So let's just go to the world settings and try out some different colors for the world setting. You can make it darker or lighter, but I think in this case I'm going to make it, I'm going to make it a little bit darker. So you can choose this obviously, but I think I'm going to keep it as it is. You can obviously make another background color. Make the resolution quality to 100% and make the samples to, let's say, 160, and then make the frame rate to 30, like this. You can make it even higher if you want to, but let's just start off by making a test render to see how it looks before we start the actual animation. And after some speeding up, this is how it looks. I think it looks great. So let's start rendering. We just need to find a place where we want to save the final file. So just go back to 3D view. So change the output to a folder. I'm going to save it in the TMP and make a new folder for all the rendered images or rendered PNG images that you're going to turn into an MP4 file later on. I actually have a tutorial on how to convert PNG pictures to MP4 or a QuickTime video on my channel. Okay, so if we look at the animation, we don't really need more than, let's say, 140 frames. So make the end frame to 140. Then you can just click animation and it's going to start rendering. And that's all for this tutorial. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments, and thank you for watching.